Hello everyone and welcome back to KitbashCarnage. So today we're going to take a look at some model and terrain making, or model terrain making shall I say. So I was doing a 24-hour kitbashing session and came up with an idea that you just seen there. It's like a quick sketch that I done of kind of like an abandoned wrecked kind of building. So half it's kind of gonna be kind of corrupt, kind of demon-esque like, kind of worn out and stuff, and the other half would be still a little bit complete and somewhat of a building still left there, just the remnants of whatever was there. So you can see me here just kind of sketching out on a piece of foam board just what I wanted to do, or a rough idea of what I wanted to do, just so I don't get lost in the whole making process, which tends to always happen here. So I'm using my Chaos Lord Discordant on Hellstalker just to have it like a size reference. Basically I want to use this building slash terrain as not only terrain but kind of like a diorama, so multi usages. So I haven't stuck my Lord Discordant onto his base yet. I have him removable for reasons like this, for just putting them into certain positions for dioramas and pictures and such not, or so what, or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever the saying is. So here I'm just kind of sketching out where I'd want the roof to be, and like the planks and basically the stuff that would hold the roof up, the shingles and all the debris and stuff. So you can see I'm writing bad and good on one side. So one side's going to be the better looking side and the other side would be the worst looking side. And that would be the side that the Lord Discordant is kind of going to look like he's climbing up, if that makes sense. So he's be in this kind of position. You can see me messing about with ideas, moving them around, and then drawing what I think might need to fit to his certain feet in order for him to be balanced in a certain position. So these are just little quick doodles, like little quick sketches. It's basically just to let me know what has to go there. So these little scribbles might look like nothing, but in my head I kind of have a reference point for what these are. So some of them are boulders and debris, the straighter lines, some are planks, and then that's the squiggles, doodles there is like shingles that I was, it's just different things just to give me a reference point to come back to, so I don't lose track of what I'm actually doing, because sometimes on bigger, crazier things like this, I have a tendency to just go off the whole idea. At this moment in time, I was actually doing 3 different projects. As I said, this was part of a 24-hour kit bashing session that I done, so I'm actually just bashing these out one after another in a 24-hour time span. So lots of videos of these to come and what I've done. All these bits here, these are all leftover bits from casts, so we don't throw any of this stuff away. And we have some leftover supports from Ramshackle Games bits that we had. Thanks again to Ramshackle Games for all your support. Link in the description also to his Instagram channel. So let's get started. So we finally got our shipment of, I say shipment, we've been waiting for this just to arrive for so long. Trying to get XPS foam here in the Highlands is an absolute nightmare. And when you can get it, actually let me rephrase that. You can get XPS foam, but it costs extravagant amount of money. So I managed to get 5 like 2 foot by 2 foot sheets of this thickness XPS foam that cost God knows how much. I remember I seen the price and just ordered it and didn't want to look again, because it's just that hard to end up getting it here in the middle of nowhere. So we finally got some, and we're just going to bash out our walls here, so you can see us sketching roughly where we want stuff to be. So I also printed off these kind of lanterns that I had. So we ended up getting a 3D printer, not resin, it's a filament printer. So Creality filament printer, and we printed off some like kind of lantern looking things, and we're going to use these in with this diorama later down the line, either in this part or the part 2 to the video. But we'll implement these into this diorama also, just giving that little bit more of aesthetics and detailed look. It saves us from making lanterns, because although we love making stuff, making loads of these lanterns to look the same for different or the same dioramas would be a nightmare. So we just printed off loads of these. We got an STL file that we looked up online, a free STL file, and we just printed off a bunch of these in a row just to have a few left over. So here you see we're just using a hobby. I'm not going to edit any of that. You can see we're using a hobbycraft knife, and then the back of this tool here, just this modeling tool, just to score some lines for the bricks. I'm not really using any specific technique here, just trying to keep them individually spaced or spaced equally, and then use our horizontal and vertical lines, just skipping every second one or every one, you know, just to make the pattern that we're looking for bricks. Not really mattering on how small they are or how big they are, just trying to keep some similarity throughout each wall so they don't look like it's different construction material, if that makes sense. So a little bit of similarity, and then anywhere I'm kind of scoring, as you saw there, I used the back of the tool to poke little dots. That's just to remind me that needs to be cut out, so don't pay too much detail onto that particular bit there. So you see me do little things throughout this video. It mightn't make sense to you, but later down the line it makes sense why I've done them things. Well, I hope it does anyway. So here we are, just freehand doing these lines. You can rule these out and measure them and all that, but I kind of thought there's some similarity to these buildings, but not much, because at the end of the day, these types of buildings, or the look I'm going for, they didn't have like technical machinery, like lots of advanced machinery, in order to cut these perfectly symmetrical stones out to use for all their buildings. They just hand carved these stones, and they all kind of have a little bit of similarity towards each other and a little bit of individuality towards each other. So I don't really, and here we please be careful while using all your tools. As it's just seen there, my hobby crafted blade just came out, so please be very careful when doing this. You can get foam cutters, and I do have a foam cutter, it's a wire foam, hot wire foam cutter. I do use it sometimes, but throughout this project, for some reason, I didn't tend to pick it up and use it. So yeah, we just went with using the hobby crafting knife, which does the exact same job, but it's just a little bit more tedious, and you have to be more careful, or as careful, and yeah, just a bit more time consuming. But as I said, I didn't think about that at the time. I just wanted to get all this done. I was having a 24-hour kitbashing session, so I had 24 hours to get it done straight. So I knew I didn't have to kind of put this down and come back to it at a later stage. I just wanted to bash it out. Using the back of our tool again, we're just trying to carry them lines towards the back. Sometimes we use a ruler or just some type of flat edge just to carry the lines across to the opposite side. And then here we're just corresponding our little drawing that we done there just to the piece, making sure that we know which side is out, which side is in, and making sure that it all aligns in your head. So you may wonder what I'm doing with this chain here. So lots of people do, or lots of people don't know that XPS foam is really good for making terrain and stuff like this, and can be textured by using lots of different materials. Lots of people use actual rocks or just beech wood or anything, tinfoil. You can use pretty much anything to texture this. I had some jeweler's chain on standby just along the side there on my bench, so I just picked that up and used this to create the texture I was looking for. It kind of adds the kind of rockish kind of random texture that you look for in the wall. So you can see me just rub it along the XPS foam here just to give me that textured look, the worn down rockish look. It actually worked out better than I expected. It ripped up some bits in other places, which I just went back and picked off my hand and then went back with the chain. So like I said, you could do this with lots of different stuff. You could get textured rollers, you can actually use it with a rock, you can use it with tinfoil, lots of different ways how to texture your XPS foam. I just grabbed this chain that was there because it was sitting right next to me on my bench, and I've never used chain before, so I thought why not, and it worked actually better than I was expecting, so this might be our new way of texturing our foam. So as you can see, I'm just using a straight edge rule here just to carry the lines across. We didn't have any lines on this, so we just used a little measurement, putting this together, carrying some lines across to this piece of XPS foam, and then ruling them out and carrying them across the whole side of the XPS foam. So this side, the back side, the edges, the corners, just as you've seen, we're just marking it with the pen there, and then ruling it, and then marking it with our tool, and then doing our vertical and horizontal lines to create the wall look with all the blocks, and carrying on the textured look with the chain. And we'll use this type of technique through all the XPS material for the walls that we're going to use for this diorama. Once again, using our jeweler's chain or any type of material that we named previous, just to give the XPF that textured look that we want. You could leave the XPF just the way it is, but it doesn't give as much fine detail and the characteristics of the rock or the whatever material you want it to be in the end. That realistic look. This just adds towards that realistic look. You can see the camera's moving everywhere. I'm very sorry about the camera work and the editing, guys. Thank you for always sticking by me, and I do appreciate the support. I really appreciate the support, guys. I know I say it again and again, but I do appreciate the support and all the comments and the little things like stuff that I'm helping maybe you come up with your ideas and your projects. Let me know in the comments if you're doing any projects right now. I'd love to know what you guys are up to, because you know we have a Facebook channel as well, or Facebook account, or whatever, your page. So don't forget, you can post your projects on there. I'd love to see them, and maybe we could do like a Q&A type of subscriber posting project thing or something like that. Just let me know in the comments below, guys. I'd love to see what you're up to. So we got this kind of ornate looking Gothic style window you see there on the right hand side of my hand. So it's just a metal kind of die that I use for making certain things. In this case we use it just for an outline of an archway door. So it came in handy. So instead of freehanding stuff like this, we just outline the archway, and then we just cut it out with our hobbycraft knife, making sure that we're being careful, and then texture it across that part that we took out. We just textured the archway with our chain, making that look of the stone kind of work all the way around the archway, so it doesn't look like it was just cut out with a laser or a hobbycrafting knife in this case. And then we do the same thing with the windows and anything else that we cut off, so we just don't have any flat textured points. So you can see here I added an arrow, and this was to orientate the walls in the end, just to let me know which way they go. You can also tell that I've misjudged the placement of these walls, so the small wall on the top side of the camera there is actually supposed to be at the bottom, and the longer one is supposed to be on the top. So they're misorientated, if that makes sense. But so far I think the texture turned out okay. So you can see the look we were going for with the jeweler's chain, and then you can also see that we're going to carry that on throughout this project. Thought there would be pillars in these corners, because when you put them together there's like a gap, so I was thinking to put these pillars in the corners, and that will act as not only like support, but it would add to the aesthetic of the whole build. So just trying to place these into position and see exactly where the bad side, or the broken, kind of more chaotic demonic side, is going to be matching up to the wall. So as you've seen, I noticed that the top of the roof was a little bit taller in this corner. So instead of cutting the whole thing across, because the opposite side, the good side, shall I say, the non-broken side, is matching up pretty good. So we'll just chip a little edge out here, and this will look in the end like it's been blown off or fell off or anything like that. And once again, using our chain just to get our texture patterns in there. As you see, we're just trying to get some type of random Carnage look, type of textured, weathered look to this XPS foam, instead of leaving it just as sharp angles and straight angles, which doesn't come out as natural in it doesn't look as natural in just natural world, if that makes sense. You know, straight edges and angles don't really appear that often in nature, so all these battered kind of textured looks look more realistic. I hope all this makes sense too. So you can see them little bits that kind of get ripped off the XPS foam that I was talking about, and these bits I just pick off, hopefully hoping that they don't rip a big chunk off, but sometimes it works out for the best and adds to the aesthetic of the whole build. So after you're happy with that, just always make sure to dry fit stuff. I'm kind of being a hypocrite by saying this because sometimes I forget, but as you see, I've just noticed what side I have to put these walls on. So lucky enough, I swapped the sides over before we stick these down for good, and we're just double checking and making sure that the corner we took off on the archway wall matches up to the corner of the window wall. And now that it doesn't match up, we're going to take a little chunk out of this corner in order to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. Once again, lots of them chunks are just coming off. We're using this chain, but I've never used the chain before to texture XPS foam, but when we know now what to expect. But like I said, it actually worked out for the best, because these little bits that were ripping up and I was tearing off with my fingers added more like details. They were just more ditches and caverns in the rock, and kind of added to that look that I was going for. So I'm going to speed up the process here, but after dry fitting a lot of the stuff, we double make sure that we have everything where we want it. And yeah, I see there, this is why we dry fit stuff, because once again I misjudged which one was which and nearly put the good side and the bad side mixed up. So we always dry fit these, making sure that we have everything in the right orientation, and then using our hot glue gun and making sure we're being careful. We stick these to the piece of board that we have here, the styrofoam kind of board. I'll say it once and I'll say it many more times. Be careful with hot glue. It does get very stringy, it gets everywhere, sticks to your fingers, it can burn you. but I'm kind of used to it at the moment, so don't do what I do. You see me using a hot glue gun very stupidly in my videos, but please be very careful while using all type of hobby crafting materials or tools. Use proper PPE and ventilated areas when needed. Just don't be stupid like I am sometimes. So quick one, throughout this whole 24-hour kitbashing day or session, we end up using 26 glue sticks. And that's not just on this project, but on all the other 3 projects that we were doing during this whole 24-hour kitbashing session or making session. Yeah, 25, just loads of glue sticks. I need to order more glue sticks now. I could not believe how many glue sticks we used. And glue. The little 1.5ml bottles, whatever I have of glue. Yeah, use loads of them as well. So it's surprising how much glue you can use in a single sitting. So here you see I just grabbed some popsicle sticks, another kebab sticks, and then I have a mold I made here of, this is actually a sprue goo mold that I done of like a rock floor formation. Also along with some cork, and then some other milliput mold that I done of the same tile, but then just broke it into little shards. So these are going to be used as texture for the floor. So we're going to just stick this around, stick the big floor tile in the entrance, more towards where the building is more upright and still standing. And then more of the broken floor tiles, we'll scatter them throughout the building, making sure that we kind of orientate them in a way that looks like as if the bits were just broken off. So you'll have the big stones kind of next to big stones and little stones next to little stones and so on and so forth. And sticking little sticks and stuff there, kebab sticks, popsicle sticks, lollipop sticks, just lots of bits of everything. Bits of plastic that were just junk that, you know, we just put everything around there. At the end of the day, this is a building that has collapsed on itself, and then it's a lot of time have passed, nature has taken over, so there's just going to be lots of ruins and broken bits are left around. You don't have to be perfect when doing stuff like this. I think it's the very big misconception that you have to be so perfect in doing stuff like this. The process in doing a lot of this is a messy Carnage build process, and it's only up until the last finished steps when you're adding your turfs, your paint, your finished little details to finalize your project. That's when it comes to life, in my opinion. If you can see the finished project at the very beginning of the actual project, you're doing it wrong. That's what I think. You know, it needs to come to life. You need to create this. You need to bring your imagination to life. You can see him throwing glue sticks that fell on the floor back on the table. Oh, this was an absolute night of carnage. 24 hours of carnage this was. But in 24 hours of carnage, we ended up bashing out, like I said, 4 projects. Well, 3 and 4 including this one. So it was time well spent at the hobby crafting bench. And these are things that I love to do when I have some time off. It gets me through my hobby project list, and it just bashes out these projects, adding more and more to the collection of stuff that I need to paint. So look for coming future videos of lots of painting videos when we paint all this up. So we're just breaking up this popsicle stick and adding an extra end to it in order to make it a bit longer. This is just because if we used the original popsicle stick, it would have been a little bit shorter, creating the roof to be slanted, and I didn't want the non-broken side of the roof to be slanted downwards. So I'm just making this, doing it like this, basically using proper lots of hot glue gun. I can't speak. So we're using lots of hot glue, making it fall over. We're just having a bit of carnage here, sticking it to our fingers. It comes out in the end. It all works out in the end, guys. Don't forget, you can see right here, things never go to plan. You know, stuff happens, But stick it out and just have patience, and in the end your idea will come to life. Also, I have dropped the link for the Discord in the description. So you can join Ko-Fi, you can become a member on Ko-Fi, and you can get a membership tier which gets you into more Discord links, or more Discord channels, shall I say, not links, which gives you more options to talk to me and see behind the scenes and just different stuff that you wouldn't get by just joining the Discord through the link that I add to the videos and whatnot. You still get to have in the general chat and see different stuff and all that, but you wouldn't get one-to-one messages with myself, or other perks that come with that, you know. So just letting you know, it's not like a money grab type of thing. It's more got to do with messaging people and talking to people one-to-one, along with my actual job day to day, and doing this and everything else takes up my time. And in order to make that time valuable, I'm not saying you guys aren't valuable alone, you are more than valuable to me. Just watching my stuff means the absolute world to me. But this is a way that I can give more to you guys, alongside of not kind of jeopardizing my time in a way that makes my personal life jeopardized. Yeah, you understand. I hope you understand. And if it becomes an issue or you don't like this, please let me know also in the comments. I'd like to know your opinion on this matter, because at the end of the day, this is our community. It is for all of us. I'm just a guy just posting up these videos. You are the community. You're the people who drive me to post more stuff. You give me the passion to post more stuff. I could be making all this and just keeping it to myself in my little hobby crafting room, which I have done, but I love to share this and give other people ideas and inspiration, and also gather inspiration and ideas from you guys, part of the community. So don't forget to post your projects in the description or in in the comments below, please. Not to, I really have to learn how to speak English properly, everybody. I'm going to get it from my Christmas present. That's what I'll do. I'll get myself English speaking lessons for Christmas. So here we're just adding little bits of popsicle sticks, breaking them up with our hobby crafting knife and scoring them, just giving more details into the wood, giving it more like a wooden grain look. And then we're getting our Lord Discordant and making sure that he balances in the position that we want them. Just making sure everything's okay. And he has, so on his Hellstalker that has so many limbs, like legs, we need to make sure that it looks realistic. So orientating the different logs and pieces of rubble so it looks like he has every single leg on a piece of material, giving that more realistic look that he's climbing up the frame or the broken building and the rubble. So this is us just trying to orientate little bits within keeping the aesthetic feel of the whole thing. So you can see I had some XPS foam there, and I wanted his legs to rest on that, but I didn't like how chunky it looked. So getting a bit of cork and then using that still acts as a broken piece of rubble, but is a little bit thinner and doesn't take up as much detail of the milliput tile that we put down. So I would say all in all, this process took probably the longest. It didn't take too long, but making sure you orientate and take detail in the pieces that you're putting down, knowing what gravity does in itself. So you have to, although this is like a fantasy type realm, you need to understand that gravity still exists, and having pieces just levitate for no reason does not naturally happen. So you guys can see here, I stuck a piece of wood or popsicle stick. It has fell down as a beam. It's fell down and rested on one window ledge and the other. So it's fell and rested there. So it's not just levitating on the wall, if that makes sense. Doing little things like this adds towards the overall look and the realism of the diorama or project that you're trying to do. Like I said, we are in a sci-fi non-realistic type of setting, but you still have to have some type of realism in the project you're doing to give it that aesthetic characteristic feel, just to make the rule of cool. Basically, I like to have something that not only looks cool but feels cool, if that makes sense. Having things that are too much not realistic, in my eyes personally, I can't see the whole overall finished project. I think it still needs something, whether that just be one little fine detail to add to scale or something like that. So this is me just making sure I'm happy with the outcome. So you can see me pick up different pieces and then decide not to use them, and you can always add and take off after a project. Your project is never finished until you're happy with it, in my opinion. Not when someone else's is happy with it. Someone else's. Let's just stop before we're ahead. So we have lots more ideas to happen to this diorama build that we're doing here, this terrain thing. I don't know if you call it a diorama or terrain, because it's a bit of both. But there's lots more to do with this. I have big ideas. So far, this is just the beginning. We're going to add so much more detail into this, and a little secret step. The reason I have left gaps in the floor there is for, see, the reason I have left gaps in the floor there is for a reason. Now, how does that make sense in the English dialect? I don't understand. But yeah, that's the reason for that. It's for a reason. You will see why we have done that in videos to come. So stay tuned. Don't forget, this is only part 1 of this diorama terrain thing. We still have to add a bit more detail, add our secret little thing in, and a bit of demonic look into this whole project. We can't forget about the Carnage style. So when I finished off adding all the supports for a Hellstalker to be in place, once I was happy with that, I just made sure this final fit was perfect. So you saw there I had to just rip the piece of XPS foam off and just replace it, because the tail was a little bit wasn't fitting in perfect. So now that it fits perfect, I can add little bits of detail with our lantern and boxes and stuff like that we made previous. So as I said, we're just sticking these on just to give it that little bit more of a aesthetic look. So I'm sticking 2 boxes just on the side, just so it would be in front of the Hellstalker. And then we're going to add the rest of the details, hopefully inside and a bit more on the outside of the walls. So we're just preparing our little lantern here, just hot gluing it to the wooden stand kind of thing that is holding it. And then we'll have a look at where we're going to orientate this on the wall. So along with the lantern came a lantern wall holder for like the roof. But because we don't have a roof at this stage, I decided to mount that to the opposite side of the wall. And this later became a wall torch, basically, just hanging on the wall, instead of a lantern in the inside. So just finishing this off with a few more boxes and crates, just sticking them in the corners, covering up a bit of the floor there and giving this more of a detailed look. So this is just a wall torch that I was talking about. So all it is a little piece of a matchstick without the matchstick head and a piece of cork just stuck to the top of it. And we're going to paint that in the end just to look like a flame. And this just adds to the characteristics of the whole build. So far this is what we've done. So you can see our little wall torch there. The building's broken up. The wall or the roof has fell apart. The beams are falling all over the place. We've got a lantern outside there hanging on the wall. So yeah, so far this is what we have. Stay tuned for part 2. And thank you all for your support.